Stop deceiving yourself. Not everyone around you wishes you well. Not everyone who smiles to your face is your friend. Not everyone who listens to your troubles is your confidant. For years, you have indulged yourself with the lie that if you are good, they will be good too. You swallowed disrespectful behaviors you should not have overlooked, just to keep the peace. You broke yourself into pieces so they wouldn't break. You tried to fill the voids of others by tearing pieces from your own value. And what was the result? What happened when you stopped giving? Where did those people you felt so close to vanish to the moment they had nothing left to take from you? Did those relationships which stood on your sacrifice not collapse like a lie the moment you pulled your hand away? Let me remind you of that brutal tale from centuries ago that summarizes the situation most clearly. It was a cold winter morning. The snowstorm had lasted all night, covering the surroundings in white. An old farmer, walking towards his fields, saw a snake curled up by the side of the road. The snake was nearly frozen. It couldn't move. The farmer felt pity. "Poor creature," he said to himself. "I can't bear to let it die in this cold." And his mercy prevailed. Although he knew the snake was dangerous, he picked it up from the ground, placed it on his chest, inside his coat. "Warm up, come to yourself," he murmured. The snake slowly began to thaw with the farmer's warmth. As its frozen body warmed, its strength returned, and the moment it fully recovered, it bit the farmer on the chest without hesitation. The farmer, collapsing to the ground in pain, asked in astonishment, "I saved you. Why did you do this to me?" The snake answered coldly, "You knew I was a snake when you took me into your bosom." This is precisely the essence of the disappointment most of you have experienced. He who trusts in the goodness of the wicked consents to his own harm. You are that man. You thought that with your kindness, your love, and your boundless sacrifice, you could change the poisonous nature of the person opposite you, that you could turn them into a tame friend. But if being poisonous is their nature, warming them in your bosom was your mistake. That boundless openness you mistook for nobility is nothing but a door that fake people use to infiltrate and strike you with your own weapon. As Seneca said, "Do not be afraid to test people to know them, because those who need to be lost should be lost first." We are gathered here today not to sell optimistic dreams, but to face the cold reality of truth. Guided by Stoic wisdom, we will discuss how to survive without warming snakes in your bosom, without losing your mind among false faces, and without corrupting your soul. Because you cannot wipe out betrayal from the face of the earth, but you can foresee it and neutralize it. If you are ready, we begin now. 1. Never trust completely. We begin with life's most brutal yet most honest rule. People are inherently loyal to their own self-interest. Most of the time, the reason for your heartache is not the malice of the person opposite you. It is your delusion. If it were me, I wouldn't do this. But they do. Because when the blind man's eyes are opened, the first thing he breaks is his cane. Because they no longer need you. That cane, which is you, guided them in the dark, carried them. But when they reached the light, your presence became a burden that reminded them of their former helplessness. And you took the first blow. You cannot anticipate that the person you carried on your back for years will pass you by the first moment they learn to walk. In a time of need, you rush to help, and you assume the other side will show the same loyalty. You entrust your secret, and you think it will be protected. But people measure loyalty not by their character, but by their current need. When the need is over, that unwavering trust dissolves like a mist. There is a vital question you must ask yourself here. The first day you let someone into your life, how many points out of 10 do you give them? Most of you start the person opposite you with a full 10 points, giving them unlimited credit. Then, when that score drops to 9 or 8, you become sick with disappointment. Yet, a Stoic mind does the opposite. Give people 1 out of 10 initially. This doesn't mean be hostile to them. It means, I don't know who you are yet. You have to earn this. Let them earn that score with their actions, their stance in difficult times, and their loyalty. Trust should not be a gift given in advance, but a reward earned over time. To understand this, look back at your past. At the people you called my brother, my dear. Remember those days. When that person's world was crashing down, who was by their side? You were. You listened to their troubles for hours. You shouldered their burden. But what happened when your own foot stumbled just once? That brother suddenly turned into someone very busy, didn't they? That deep, icy cut you felt at that moment is not the price of betrayal, but the price of trusting excessively and recklessly. That day you lost the fine line between doing good and being naive. Stoics see your soul and mind as the most precious fortress you must protect. Epictetus shakes us in his Enchiridion manual by saying, if someone were to hand over your body, that is, your slave's body, to any passerby, you would be angry. Yet why are you not ashamed to let those who criticize or provoke you throw your mind into confusion? Therefore, I am not telling you to close your doors, but you must appoint a guard at that door. Stop assuming every smiling face is a friend and every weeping person is innocent. Before you trust someone, look at how they carry the secrets of others. The one who tells you about others will tell others about you. Loyalty is evident not when everything is smooth, but when the storm breaks. Do not entrust the rudder of your ship to anyone with whom you have not yet weathered a storm. 2. Be both a fox and a lion. Believing that merely being honest and virtuous will protect you from evil is as dangerous a naivety as walking onto a battlefield unarmed and saying, I am not hitting anyone, so no one will hit me. In the wildness of life, a single virtue is not enough to survive. You need duality, a two-pronged defense mechanism. One of the greatest lessons in military history is this: if you are only strong and majestic as a lion, you rely too much on your power and cannot see the insidious traps set before you. If you are only cunning and watchful as a fox, you sense the danger, but you lack the deterrent power to scare away the wolves coming at you. Therefore, to survive, you must combine these two spirits within you. Be a fox to sense the traps, and a lion to fend off the enemies. Being a fox is approaching events analytically, not emotionally. When you enter a room or are faced with a new offer, it means not jumping in immediately, but silently sniffing, reading between the lines and hearing what the other person is not saying. The fox senses potential danger before it even appears on the horizon. For instance, questioning the real motive of someone who is overly generous to you. Asking, what does this person want from me, is a fox's reflex. At this stage, you are not paranoid, but merely an extremely careful observer. You do not reveal your intentions, your next move, or your cards to anyone. Your silence and mystery become your greatest shield. However, merely observing is not enough. At some point, when a threat becomes real or your boundaries are violated, you must unleash the lion within. Being a lion does not mean becoming aggressive or resorting to violence. Being a lion means being able to declare, with your presence and your stance, this far and no further. You must say no with such clarity and resolve that the person opposite you perceives it not as the start of a negotiation, but as an impassable wall. When the cunning and the opportunists mistake your silence for weakness, it is your responsibility to show them they are wrong. Respect is sometimes earned not through affection, but through the fear of that unwavering authority you create. Stoicism handles this balance with immense wisdom. In his discourses, Epictetus gives his students this vital advice: be wary and watchful against external events, but courageous and confident in your own will and strength. That is, the world is full of dangers, so be vigilant like a fox. But your character is unshakable, so stand tall like a lion. Do not sacrifice one for the other. Only when you combine these two will you neither fall for the games of the cunning, nor bow to the oppression of tyrants. 3. Recognize the mask of duplicity. The eras when enemies came at you with swords and war cries are long gone. Today, the greatest destructions are carried out by those who smile to your face and lull you with flattery. Danger is no longer presented as an open threat, but as a poison wrapped in the packaging of politeness. Duplicity has become the most common survival strategy of the modern age. The person opposite you says they are your friend and appears to celebrate your success, but behind their eyes, an impatient darkness lurks, waiting for your downfall. They are the people who will hug you until the moment they find your most vulnerable spot to strike. You have experienced this countless times in the most intimate areas of your life, perhaps at holiday dinners or family gatherings. Think of the relatives who ask questions not because they are genuinely curious, but merely to find cracks in your life and use them as gossip material for others. Or remember those who lend you a helping hand and turn it into a spiritual debt note that can never be repaid in their lifetime. Their kindness is not a selfless virtue. It is a trap they set to control you in the future. You may have noticed how they hide that secret eagerness to say, "I told you so," behind words of consolation when you experience a failure. These people are like chameleons. They change color according to their environment, the person they are talking to, and their current interests. They become an angel by your side and a judge by someone else's. The way to drop this mask and see the truth is to close your ears and open your eyes. You should focus not on what people say, but on what they do, especially how they behave in situations where they have nothing to gain. If a person is kind to you but rude and insolent to a waiter, an employee, or someone they deem to be of lower status than themselves, the kindness they show you is just a theatrical performance. Character is the sum of what one does when no one is watching or when no self-interest is involved. False people can never pass the consistency test, because acting a role requires much more energy than being natural, and eventually that mask drops. The Stoic philosopher Seneca summarizes this situation centuries ago in his moral letters. No one can wear a mask for long. Everything that is false quickly returns to its own nature. This quote should be your greatest strategy. You don't need to rush to expose a hypocrite, argue with them, or get angry. Just wait and watch. Time is the greatest enemy of fakes. If you are patient enough, you will inevitably see their artificial politeness crack and their true intention underneath leak out. When that moment comes, do not be surprised. Simply make your observation and silently step away from that scene. 4. Do not wrestle in the mud. When insidious people cannot deceive you with their intelligence or cannot directly destroy you, they change tactics. They try to drag you down to their level, into the mud. This attack is usually not made with an open declaration of war, but with a much subtler and more debilitating strategy: emotional provocation. Think of that seemingly joking insult made in front of everyone at a family dinner, that stinging insinuation that belittles your success, or those poisonous words, specially chosen to hit a nerve. Their goal is not to have a philosophical discussion with you or to find the truth. Their only objective is to disrupt your calm demeanor, make you angry, and show everyone that ugly moment when you lose control. Because they know that the moment you step into the mud, you are playing by their rules and on their field. When you flare up in a moment of anger, shout, or become defensive, you lose your rightful position and become the one in the wrong. The person provoking you at that moment expertly maneuvers into the role of the victim and points their finger at you, delivering the message. Do you see how unbalanced, how aggressive he is? Your anger is their victory. Giving an emotional reaction is a silent confession that says to the person opposite you, "You can control me. My emotional buttons are in your hands." You do not prove your power when you raise your voice. On the contrary, you surrender your will into the hands of others. Remember, anyone who can make you angry becomes your master. Falling into this trap not only drains your energy, it also leaves stains of regret on your soul. So, what is the strongest, most unshakable shield against these poisonous arrows? Silence and complete indifference. This is not a cowardly silence, submission, or remaining without an answer. This is regarding the existence, words, and pitiful effort of the person opposite you as null and void. When you are insulted or hit a nerve, stopping, looking calmly into the eyes of the other person, smiling faintly without saying anything, and calmly returning to your task is the heaviest slap you can deliver. Because this attitude carries the message, "What you said is too worthless to reach my reality." Leave them alone with their own poison. Let them hear their own voices in that echoless void and face their own ugliness. The emperor-philosopher Marcus Aurelius lays the foundation for this noble stance in his Meditations. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. If they are shouting, do not even whisper. Just be silent. If they become ugly, you remain noble. Do not argue with a fool, because they will first drag you down to their level and then defeat you with experience. Wrestling in the mud is pleasing to the pig, but you will only end up covered in dirt. Let them wallow in the mud. You watch them from an elevated, clean, unattainable, and unshakable place. Your battle is not with them, but with your own will. 5. Learn to protect your kindness. There is a world of difference between being a good person and being a useful person. However, most people become victims of their own kindness because they cannot make this distinction. In our society, saying no is coded as rude, setting boundaries as selfishness, and rushing to meet every request as a supreme magnanimity. However, this boundless giving does not make you virtuous. It merely turns you into a target that is open to exploitation, depleted of energy, and taken for granted. Look around you. Those who are most distressed, most wronged, and most restless when they lay their heads on the pillow at night are usually those good people who break themselves into pieces to avoid breaking anyone else. Because they burn and consume their own light merely to illuminate the darkness of others. And at the end of the day, the only thing left in their hands is a vast darkness. The truth is, not everyone in the world deserves the sensitivity and loyalty you show. You hope the person opposite you will change by constantly giving, conceding, and forgiving. But as Machiavelli warned centuries ago, a man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything will come to grief among so many who are not good. Human nature is ungrateful. When you are constantly available, your sacrifices begin to be perceived as a favor. The moment you say no even once, the thousands of good deeds you did in the past are erased, and you are instantly declared a bad person. This is why distributing your kindness without strategy is preparing your own end. Knowing when to turn off the faucet is as vital a skill as knowing how to give. To protect yourself, you must adopt the principle of selective kindness. This does not mean turning your heart to stone. It merely means hanging a lock on the door of that heart. Before offering your time, energy, or support to someone, you must stop and ask, does this person value what I offer, or are they merely focused on the benefit they can derive? Saying no is not rejecting the other person. It is saying yes to your own existence, your own time, and your own mental health. Being able to set boundaries without guilt is the highest form of self-respect. If some people walk out of your life merely because you refuse to carry them on your back anymore, let them go. They were never in love with you. They were in love with the comfort you provided. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warns us against these types of relationships, which appear friendly but are actually exploitative. The wise man will shun his friendless friends as much as his enemies. Engrave this quote in your mind. An open enemy can only harm your body, but an exploiter disguised as a friend consumes your soul. Your kindness is your most precious treasure. Do not scatter it before those who do not deserve it. Be generous, but never be naive. 6. Read the signs of a betrayer. Betrayal is not a dramatic event that arrives suddenly with thunder, as in movies. Betrayal is a process that approaches with silent steps, and every betrayer gives you signs whispering who they are long before they plunge the dagger. Most of the time, the reason for your pain is not the flawless ability of the person opposite you to deceive you, but your persistent choice to ignore the obvious red flags. You blind yourself with emotional excuses like, "He wouldn't do that." We have history. However, character is a whole, and what a person does to others is the clearest preview of what they will do to you. A betrayer betrays not because they choose to betray, but because it is their nature. Therefore, the signs are always there. The most prominent and perhaps the most overlooked of these signs is gossip under the mask of confidentiality. Think of the person who comes to you and tells you the most intimate secrets, faults, or mistakes of others. At that moment, you feel special. You think, they trust me enough to tell me this. This is a fatal delusion. The one who digs a well for others in your presence is digging a well for you in theirs. A person's loyalty is measured by how they defend others when that person is not in the room. The one who sells others in their absence will sell you in yours. This is not a possibility. It is a mathematical certainty. Do not become an accomplice to what flows from that poisonous tongue, because it is only a matter of time before you realize you are the next victim. Another strong sign is the artificial attitude they adopt in the face of your success. Everyone is by your side on good days. Everyone smiles. But catch that momentary shadow that appears in their eyes when you achieve a success, when things are going well in your life. Even when congratulating you, they add a "but" to the end of their sentences. You found a great job, but you will be very tired. You got married, but marriage is hard these days. They try to dampen your enthusiasm with comments that are allegedly realistic, but in essence full of envy. Your light exposes the inadequacy and darkness within them. Anyone who is uncomfortable with your growth, tries to drag you down, or attributes your success to luck is a potential betrayer. Emperor Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations confronts us with the unchangeable nature of human character with this sharp expression: "Just as you are not surprised that a fig tree bears figs, so you should not be surprised that men act according to their nature." When you see these signs, do not try to change that person, heal them, or prove yourself to them. Just accept the truth you see. Reading the signs is not paranoia. It is emotional intelligence. Do not wait to catch the betrayer red-handed. Know that where you see smoke, there is fire, and where you see gossip and envy, betrayal is inevitable, and quietly change your course. 7. Accept pain as your teacher. The burning pain you feel when you are betrayed or experience a great disappointment stems not from the event itself, but from the fact that the blow came from an unexpected place. The knife wound in your back is so deep not because the knife is sharp, but because the hand holding the hilt is familiar. The questions echoing in your mind at that moment: what did I do to deserve this? Or how could I not see this? Try to trap you in a victim mentality. However, today you must fundamentally change your perspective. That pain did not come to punish or destroy you. It came to wake you up, to sculpt your roughness, and to turn you into the strong person you are meant to be. Most people see bad events that happen to them as misfortunes and mourn. Yet, for a Stoic mind, every betrayal, every blow, and every fall is a character test by fire. Just as a blacksmith puts raw iron into the fire first, and then hammers it repeatedly on the anvil to shape it, life delivers blows to mature you. It hurts at that moment, yes, but those blows do not break you. They only chip away the excess, the unnecessary expectations, and the childish naivety that makes you weak. That person may think they harmed you by abandoning or deceiving you, but in reality, they gave you a lesson too valuable to learn on your own: the absolute necessity of standing on your own 2 feet. However, there is a great trap you must not fall into here: allowing the pain to poison you. Many people close their hearts after betrayal. They become hostile to everyone and mistake becoming cruel for strength, saying, "I will no longer pity anyone." This is not transformation, it is decay. If you allow the people who hurt you to turn you into someone cold, emotionless, and distrustful like them, you have lost the war. The goal is not to become unfeeling, but to become resilient. You must learn to wear your emotions like armor without killing them. Instead of bottling up the pain and letting it fester, use it as fuel. You must be able to say, "Yes, it hurt, but this fire did not turn me to ash, it turned me to steel." The great Stoic philosopher Seneca, in his work on Providence, describes this process with this magnificent analogy: "Fire tests gold, misfortune and difficulty test brave men." That great disappointment you experienced is that fire. You are currently in that fire and you are burning. But when you come out of it, you will no longer be the person who bends easily or is swept away by every wind. You threw your naivety into the fire and received wisdom in return. This was a price that had to be paid, and you paid it. Now stop hiding your wounds like a badge of shame. They are the most concrete proofs that you have emerged from this battle of life safe and stronger. 8. Have the power to let go. The greatest power in the world is not commanding armies or ruling millions. The greatest power is allowing no one and nothing to hold your inner peace hostage. We call this the power to let go. If, when you wake up in the morning, whether your day will be good or bad depends on a message on your phone, a glance from your boss, or the attention of your lover, you are not a free person. You are an emotional slave. The moment you feel you are dependent on the existence of another, you put an invisible leash around your own neck and hand the end of the rope to the other party. Now, whichever way that person pulls the rope, your mood is dragged in that direction. And remember, those who hold the end of the rope will never hesitate to drag you. Fake people, narcissists, and manipulators feed not on your love, but on your dependency. They detect your fear of being alone, your hunger for validation, and your delusion of "I can't live without them" like a radar. The more you think, "If I sacrifice this much, they won't leave me," the more they violate your boundaries. Because they know that someone who doesn't have the courage to leave will tolerate every kind of disrespect. If you don't have the power to get up and leave the table in a relationship, a friendship, or a workplace, you will remain just an option at that table. Respect is not earned by begging. It is earned by the firm stance that says, "These are my terms. If they don't suit you, I will continue my journey alone." No one can threaten someone who is not afraid to lose with their absence. This doesn't mean don't love people or build walls. It means don't put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. In Stoic philosophy, this is called independent love. Value your loved ones. Enjoy the moment with them. But do not make their existence the foundation of your own existence. Think of a building. If the building collapses when one of the columns falls, that building is rotten. You must be a fortress standing alone, not a wall leaning on someone else. The people in your life are guests. They come, they stay, and when the time comes, they leave. If their departure devastates you, you have valued the guest more than the host. Epictetus, the greatest defender of freedom, warns us about our masters. Who is your master? He who has the power to confer or remove whatever you seek or shun. If you seek someone's attention, they are your master. If you fear someone abandoning you, they are your master. If you want to be free, you must take your chains out of the hands of others. Give yourself this promise: life can be better with you, but I am complete and whole without you. This is the sentence where manipulation ends and true power begins. 9. Learn to leave without an explanation. At the breaking point of human relationships, the biggest trap most of us fall into is the desire to have a closing conversation. When leaving a place, ending a relationship, or cutting someone who hurts you out of your life, you feel an irresistible urge to explain yourself. You want to shout one last time why you were hurt, where their mistakes were, and why you made this decision. You think that if you choose your words correctly enough, the person opposite you will finally understand, regret, and agree with you. However, this is a pathetic game your ego plays on you. Giving an explanation to someone who has repeatedly abused you, violated your boundaries, and disrespected your existence is still giving them the authority of a judge over you. As you defend yourself, they remain in the position of the authority sitting on the bench and passing judgment. Leaving silently, that is, quietly closing the door without slamming it and making noise, is not cowardice, but a difficult to achieve level of power. When you give an explanation, you give manipulators and narcissists material to twist your words, make you feel guilty, and rewrite the story. They try to keep you in that toxic cycle with phrases like, "You are too sensitive," "I didn't mean it that way," or "You misunderstood me." However, when you leave without an explanation, you take their greatest weapon, your reaction, away from them. Silence is not open to debate. Silence cannot be manipulated. The greatest punishment you can give them is that void of uncertainty where they will be forced to wonder about the reason for your absence. Let them complete the end of the story with their own conscience if they have one. When you make this decision, you must be deaf to the accusing voices from your surroundings or from that person themselves, such as, Why are you doing this? It's not right. We could have solved this by talking. These are the last hooks thrown out to get you back to that table. Remember, if a person did not empathize while hurting you, you are not obligated to be polite when you leave to protect yourself. Your healing process owes no explanation to those who harmed you. You tried to explain for years. You gave countless chances, and you were not heard. Now you are at the point where words end and action begins. You need peace, not to be understood. Epictetus warns those who try to prove their principles to others. Sheep do not display how much they have eaten to their shepherds by vomiting up the grass. They digest the food internally and outwardly produce wool and milk. Do not vomit up your change, your decision, or your reason for leaving. Just leave and live the peaceful wool and milk, your new happy version you created in your life. While they are debating why you left, you will have already arrived. The noblest farewell is not a noisy fight, but that silent walk from which one never returns. 10. Do not harden, become wise. The most dangerous damage left by betrayal is not the lost trust or money. It is the terrible deformation it can create in your character. When you are deeply wounded by a person, a very tempting but toxic defense mechanism is activated in your mind. I will no longer pity anyone. I will be ruthless like them. You think that turning your heart to stone, freezing your emotions, and killing your humanity will turn you into a fortress that can never be hurt again. But you are wrong. If an honest person turns into a liar, if a compassionate person turns into a cruel one, the person who betrayed you has not only hurt you, but has also conquered your soul. You cannot defeat your enemy by becoming like them. You only swell their ranks. True strength is being able to keep that noble person within you alive despite all the disappointments you have experienced, despite all the schemes carried out behind your back. This should not be confused with naivety. What I mean is not a naivety that opens the door to everyone, but a selective wisdom that knows whom to open the door to. Most people build walls after betrayal. Walls are safe, yes, no one can enter. But walls also prevent light from entering, and the soul trapped inside decays in the darkness over time. What you need to do is not build walls, but install filters. Continue to love, trust, and share. But this time, give the deserving only what they deserve. Hating people is like drinking poison yourself and waiting for them to die. This only decays you. Marcus Aurelius explains that the evils of the external world should not corrupt the goodness within us with this magnificent metaphor. Does an emerald lose its color if it is not praised, or a gold piece lose any of its value? You too do not give up your nature because of the wickedness of others. If the person who broke you was a piece of glass, you continue to remain a diamond. Glass cannot scratch a diamond. In the face of the world's ugliness, protect your kindness not as a weakness, but as your greatest rebellion. By refusing to be cold, calculating, and dark like them, you will have won the greatest victory against them, the victory of remaining uncorrupted in your own center. 11. Build your inner citadel. As we come to the end of our journey, you must face the toughest but most liberating truth you must accept. You will never be able to fully control the external world. Liars will continue to lie, the two-faced will wear masks, and the self-interested will betray. Most people waste their lives in a futile wait. They wait for people to improve, for justice to prevail on its own, or for the chaos around them to subside. However, waiting for the storm to subside is the biggest mistake a sailor can make. The master sailor does not wait for the storm to end. He adjusts his sails accordingly and keeps his ship steady. You too must stop waiting for people to change and build that refuge that no external force can shake. Your inner citadel. This fortress is not a physical place, but a mental state. You must reach a level of consciousness where, even if apocalypses are raging outside, you are insulted or sold out by your closest person. Not a single piece of trash can enter the walls of that fortress. People can talk about you, try to damage your reputation or exclude you, but no one can disturb the peace of your mind without your permission. Your value is not between the lips of others, but in the depths of your own character. If someone throws mud at you, it only shows that their hands are dirty. not that you are dirty. When you can make this distinction, you stop being someone exposed to events and turn into an observer watching events from above. However, building this fortress is not running away from people or shutting yourself in a cave. On the contrary, it is the ability to withdraw into that silent room within you even while standing in the very middle of crowds, noise, and falsehood. It is taking a breath in the middle of chaos and being able to say, "These things cannot harm my character. They only test my patience." When the external world ceases to be an authority over you, all the cards in the hands of manipulators, narcissists, and fakes also become invalid, because they can manage people who react, fear, and seek validation. They cannot dominate someone who turns inward and finds peace there. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, in the very middle of battlefields and palace intrigues, offers us this immortal escape plan. Men seek retreats for themselves in the country, by the seaside, or in the mountains. You too are wont to desire such things very much. But this is altogether a mark of the most common sort of men, for it is in your power whenever you choose to retire into yourself. For nowhere, either with greater peace or more freedom from trouble, does a man retire than into his own soul. Your refuge is your own mind. Keep it clean, keep it strong. Now stop seeking happiness, loyalty, or peace at the mercy of others. They may betray you, but as long as you do not betray yourself, the winner of this war is always you. Everything we have explained so far will remain only as intellectual ornaments on the dusty shelves of your mind if it is not translated into action. Knowing is not enough, because the sharpness of a sword is revealed not when it stands in a display case, but only on the battlefield. Your battlefield is your office, your home, your social circle, and your own mind. Now we begin that mental training program that will spread these 11 lessons you have learned to every moment of your life, making you unshakable amidst fake people and unexpected betrayals. This is not a one-night change prescription, but a lifelong character building. You should begin this construction every morning, in those first silent moments when you open your eyes, before the chaos of the day sets in. You must wear the stern warning Marcus Aurelius gave himself centuries ago like an armor every morning. Whisper this to yourself before getting out of bed. Today, I shall be meeting with the ungrateful, the arrogant, the two-faced, the selfish. They are doing this because they cannot distinguish between good and evil. But I know the truth. This is not pessimism. This is a strategic preparation not to go into battle unarmed. When you prepare your mind for the betrayals you will face beforehand, those fake smiles or backstabbing you encounter during the day will not shock you. They will merely make you say, "This is what I expected." A mind that is not surprised does not fear and does not get angry. As you mingle with the day, you should move on to the second exercise that will strengthen your most significant test, the muscle of non-reaction. When someone provokes you, throws a stinging remark, or hits a nerve, stop that initial urge to respond. Like an enemy soldier, Stoics call this creating a gap. At that moment, create a space between the event and your reaction, just a few seconds of deep, silent space. In that space, ask yourself, do this person's words define my character or their rudeness? Not responding is often the loudest answer you can give. Every time you practice this exercise, you will feel your will solidifying, and those invisible control strings people have over you snapping. When communicating, develop an observer mode. In social settings, take yourself out of the speaker's chair and place yourself in the audience's chair. When a gossip starts or false praises fly around, instead of joining the game, analyze people with the coolness of a scientist. Focus on who says what and why. Try to see the hunger, the envy, or the needy desire for validation behind the words. Forcing yourself not to speak is the most powerful weapon that drops the masks of others. Because people are uncomfortable with silence, and they usually give themselves away to fill that void. The more you remain silent, the more they will expose themselves. However, the external world can sometimes create unbearable pressure. It is in those moments that you should activate the exercise of getting into a mental helicopter and looking at events from above. Imagine the room you are in, that building, that city, and the world. See how small the person who upset you is in the infinity of the universe, and how insignificant your trouble is. This bird's eye view instantly dissipates the suffocating drama created by your ego. Ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? If the answer is no, it is not worth being upset about now either. This perspective saves you from momentary fits of anger and unnecessary resentment. It allows you to save your energy only for the things you can control. And of course, you must introduce one of the most difficult trainings, voluntary letting go, into your life. Look at the things you own, your status, and most importantly, people, as if they do not belong to you, as if they are only entrusted to you for a short time. As Epictetus said, never say, I have lost it, but I have returned it. Be at peace with the fact that your loved ones and friends may leave your life one day. This does not mean loving them less. It means not being dependent on them. Visualize the departure of the person you trust the most, and imagine yourself standing, preserving your integrity, despite it. No one can threaten or manipulate a person who has conquered the fear of loss. At the end of the day, when you look in the mirror at night, establish Seneca's famous court of conscience. Open your journal and judge yourself ruthlessly. What weakness did I succumb to today? In what moment was I naive when I should have been as vigilant as a fox? In what event did I remain silent when I should have drawn a line like a lion? Do this analysis not to blame yourself, but to build a better strategy for tomorrow. Writing clears the mental fog and solidifies the lessons. All these practices, morning preparation, reaction control, silent observation, bird's eye perspective, voluntary letting go, and evening reckoning, combine to form your inner citadel. You will struggle at first. Your old habits will drag you down. They will shout, answer, defend yourself, trust. But every day you hit that iron one more time on the anvil, you will see your character taking shape. Remember, this is not a destination, but a journey. And on this journey, you are no longer alone. Behind you is the wisdom of the Stoics, and before you is your own free will. Now, close this video and start building that fortress, because the world will not change, but when you change, the world will become unable to touch you. When this video ends, that two-faced crowd outside will not vanish. Snakes will still be under the snow. Fake smiles will still be around you. But you no longer need to be afraid, because the most important thing that has changed is you. You are now someone who knows whom to warm in their bosom, who chooses whom to open their door to, and who does not index their own value to the loyalty of others. It is easy to harden. The real skill is to become wise while remaining human. If you walked with me in this awakening, make your presence known and write this mantra in the comments. I am not hardening, I am becoming wise. This is the signature of those who turn pain into power. Now pull that dagger out of your back, bind your wound, and continue walking fearlessly on your own path. Thank you for watching.